Hey guys, time for another video. This one, it's been quite a while. This one, I've really been thinking about quite a lot. It helped me a lot. Let me just say up front that, really when I do these videos, this is really just my journey, things that have helped me along the way. I'm by no means qualified on a therapeutic level or anything, but when I was going through what I went through, the promise I made myself as part of the healing process was that, I would not self stigmatize, and that I would talk about what happened to me in the hope that, one, it would help me, which it does, and two, anyone out there that's going through something similar could maybe find some kinship with me. I could help along the way if they ever wanted to reach out. So this is just, Nick Dale unfiltered. So this one that I wanted to talk to you about, I think I'll call it, taking care of your chemicals. And what I mean by that is that after what happened to me, one of the early sort of diagnoses that I got very flippantly was that I had a chemical imbalance, and I was prescribed some pills that were mood modifiers, if that's what you want to call them. And basically, I was sent packing saying, "Look, there's something wrong with your chemicals. This stuff will balance it out," and off you go, right? And as it turned out, that wasn't anything to do with anything, and it was very short lived. However, what that kind of spurred in me was this idea to investigate the concept of, let's say, our inner pharmacology, the chemicals that we have in our body. You can call them hormones, stress hormones, whatever you want to call them, but these these substances, if you like, that our body uses to signal things, right? And obviously, because what I went through was a panic attack, if you want to call it that, I started looking into the pharmacology behind something like that. And, it turns out that obviously when we were primitive, we needed something to signal to our body that we were in danger. And that thing that we needed, by its actual nature and its design, was meant to override our rational mind. That was the whole purpose. It's fight or run, right? And we don't want you to think about it. When we inject your body full of that that fight or flight hormone that's part of your inner pharmacology, we don't want you to think about it. You either fight your way out of a situation or you run your way out of a situation, right? And that's the basic design of it, and it works in a situation that is visible and easily understood, like a woolly mammoth running after you, right? You got to run or do whatever you need to do. But in a modern day society, those signals and those hormones are still, secreted into our bodies with different exterior signaling, right? And what I came to learn is that I had been basically in a state of survival mode for most of my adult life, because I had either created an inner narrative of a standard that I needed to live up to, whether it was a social standard, whether it was a self inflicted standard. And when I didn't live up to this kind of standard that was so out there, and I probably could never live up to because our brains are so negatively minded, I was constantly feeling stress and feeling like I'm failing here. I'm not succeeding. I don't have the right car. I'm not the greatest husband, dad, whatever it was. That my central nervous system was constantly on edge. I used the analogy that, when I was a kid, I used to see cartoons, and if a cat got a fright, its fur would stand up on end like that. That's kind of the condition that my central nervous system has been in, because I created a standard or a narrative that I could never live up to, and then lived in the constant dread of being a failure and failing that standard, right? And what I came to understand is that when you are in such a heightened state, let's call it survival mode, and your central nervous system is in that cat-like state permanently, you really one moment of overwhelm away from a full-blown panic attack. And that can come on, as it did with me, out of nowhere, and just suddenly just inject this stress hormone into your body, and you have this rational response that is, hold on, I'm not in danger here, what is this all about? But as I said, by its design, it's supposed to circumsede that rational thought, and as a result, I had this massive panic attack, and through my wife being there for me, she had to steer me to the emergency room. So all that said, what I've really started doing now is really trying to go inner rather than exterior, and look for exterior affirmations, whether I'm succeeding professionally, or whether I'm driving the right car, whether I'm a perfect dad. None of that stuff really matters at the end of the day, because it's all relative. Your success, my success, different kind of things. What's really, really important is to try and cultivate a calm inner state that allows your central nervous system the chance to relax, and therefore you can handle life better. And if something does happen, like in my case where I thought I was being an absolute failure to my family, and that moment of overwhelm, that real sense that I was not fulfilling a duty that I put on such a high pedestal, sent me into overwhelm, and overwhelm injected these hormones into my body, and I ran and ran and ran, and in some instances thought about fighting and so on. And the reality is what's really helped me to heal is to go inner, and I've done that through meditation, I've done that through just being still, but understanding that our thoughts can trigger that pharmacology. And when we are constantly writing a narrative in our head that is negative, and or we see ourselves as failing, and we not very kind to ourselves, we inject those kinds of, like, let's call them stress hormones, run hormones, into our system. And if we're constantly doing that, we're constantly in a fight or flight mode. And I've been like that for years. They call it survival mode, where in some ways you're just holding on, right? What I've done now is, as like I say, I'm present and I'm still, and I've realized that the real true love is self-love. And the way to get through these kinds of things is to be kinder to yourself internally. That voice, that inner voice that we all have, be kinder to yourself, and understand that you are a good human, you are a good person, you have got a set of moral values and so on. And hopefully once you relax that inner state, the anxiety diminishes a little, but you start really being really intentional about what you see as true success. And what it's done for me is it's improved my husbandry, it's improved my fathering, because I'm more present and stiller, and I'm looking at making better decisions and thoughts. But I think primarily because my central nervous system is no longer like in that cat-like state. That's really worked for me. It's something I wrote about in my book, Cowboys Can Cry. Check it out if you're interested. And also, guys, one final request is, I'm doing these as part of my healing process, but getting a like, getting a comment, or you subscribe to my channel, that's kind of like my digital encouragement that I'm onto something here. I know sometimes these videos are long, but really I'm trying to show men of my generation that it's okay to be vulnerable, and to really normalize us speaking about mental health things that we go through, because we are prone not to talk about them and take them inwards, and I think that creates that whole cycle. So anybody who sees this, if you want to reach out to me, go for it. Love for you to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for listening again.